Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's time. It's finally time. It's been one long summer with a lot of things changing in the landscape of the Scottish Premiership, but what other way to start off game week than my predictions video? It's always a fun one to look back on, isn't it? So, what's going to happen this season? The 23-24 campaign is upon us. Who's going to win it? Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. We're less than 900 subscribers away from the big 40,000. Let's get there as quickly as possible before kick-off on Saturday. Celtic aiming to defend that Scottish Premiership trophy with a new manager in the dugout. It's going to be a fun season. We all excited? Comment section should be a good laugh today. This is easily one of the most exciting seasons, I think, that we're heading into this year. I think it's going to be great from start to finish, not just at the top of the table, but all the way through. I'm very excited for the new campaign, and it's always nice to have a fresh start. Celtic especially having a fresh start. New manager Brendan Rodgers is back in town. Will he make it 3 in a row for Celtic this season? I hope so. But we're going to talk about it all. We're going to try and fly through it today, and we're going to spend 5 minutes talking on each team. But it's always fun, this. It's always great, because come the end of the season, I'm either looking back being happy with what I said, or come the end of the season, maybe I'll be ridiculed. Who knows? Fun nonetheless. As always, we're going to go bottom to top, 12th to 1st. I'm going to give all my reasonings for each team's predicted finish. Play nice in the comments. Don't know why I'm saying that. You never do. But aye, it'll be a good laugh. Going to try and go through them as quickly as possible today. A bit more discussion as we get towards the top. But aye, let's start at the bottom, shall we? 12th place, bottom of the table, relegated in my eyes. We're going St Johnstone. Why? Stirling Albion 4, St Johnstone 0. Now, I know I don't want to judge a team's entire season based on one isolated result, but that for me says everything. Because St Johnstone were already down here for me. They were down in the bottom 2 or 3. That is just... That result alone merits relegation. They shouldn't even be in the Premiership for a result like that. Not a great League Cup campaign for them whatsoever. And I just feel like St Johnstone have been on such a downward spiral since they won that Cup double back in the COVID season. And I don't really see any way out for them in this campaign. Yeah, I just think that they're going to struggle. And bottom of the league after that result seems justified enough. Prove me wrong, St Johnstone. For the few St Johnstone fans who may be watching this video, I'm sorry, but can you really blame me? 11th place, I'm going Livingston. And a lot of you might be like, oh, that's a bit low. David Martindale's been doing well. Why suddenly so low down? I don't know. I just feel like it's finally coming. A poor season for Livingston is due. I think he's overachieved for so long, and fair play to him. A lot of credit deserved for David Martindale, if anything. He's somebody who probably deserves a better job at this point. You know, he deserves to be at a club who'll be challenging for a top half spot this season. You know, he deserves a shot at your Motherwells, your St Mirrens. I know those jobs aren't free right now, but I just feel like the time at Livingston has surely got to come to an end. You know, the success that they've been building, can it be sustained? Can they take it on another year? I just don't think so. It seems like the recruitment this year hasn't been... There's one thing this year about Livingston that I don't feel like has been as big as it has been in other years, the turnaround. Because usually there's, you know, tons that leave and tons that come in. But I think they've only made 4 or 5 signings, all 3 signings this summer. It's not been as big a turnaround, and that might help them, but I don't know. This one's more on gut feeling than anything else. I just feel like that's got to come to an end at some point. And obviously last year was probably their least successful season under David Martindale so far. Do I think they can build on it? The evidence in the recruitment hasn't really convinced me. So I don't know where they go from it. I think that regressing seems most obvious. So 11th place, Livingston. But I wouldn't put them past to prove me wrong and go and finish, 5th or 6th this season. 10th place, I'm going for Dundee. Yes, the newly promoted side, the only promoted side this season, I think will stay up. And I have a, once again, gut feeling. I feel like they could maybe do it more convincingly than 10th place, but I've settled on this for now. Obviously, a change in the dugout for them as well. Lee Boyer did leave after the success of winning the Championship last season. But I feel like they're a club right now that have got a decent squad in place to come into the league and challenge. And I think that, arguably, I think the top end of the Championship last season was more competitive and maybe better off than the bottom end of the Premiership last season. Now, some of you might not agree with me, but I feel like Dundee are in a far better place than what the sides were in the bottom 2 or 3 last season. And that gives me the confidence that they will come in and they will stay up. I think they've got a decent enough side there. I think they'll get good results in the games that matter most. You know, the games against St Johnstone, Livingston, Ross Counties, etc. At Dens Park, I think they'll do a job. I don't know. There's just something about Dundee. I think that they'll stay up. And if they do as well on the park as they have with the kits, then they'll stay up easily.
While editing this, I've just completely realised that I've bypassed my 9th place prediction, and that was Ross County. If anything, I feel like that speaks volumes about Ross County. Listen, no offence, lads, no offence. And it's not that deep. Just completely forgot about yous. And I think that speaks volumes for the season I have anticipated for Ross County. Yeah, nothing great, nothing bad, just existing. Sorry.
We're moving on to 8th, and I've gone for Kilmarnock. This year, I'm not giving them as much of an overestimation as I maybe did last season. I said that they'd come right back to the Premiership, they'd finish top half, and that was all down to the manager they have, and that's Derek McInnes, who we all know is a decent Scottish Premiership manager, led Aberdeen to many a 3rd place finish, cup glory, someone who is a very strong manager by Scottish Premiership standards. That didn't happen. It seems they didn't have the squad to come right back into the league and compete for a position as high as that. So this year, I am taking them down a little bit. But it's been a busy summer for Derek McInnes, and that's one of the main reasons I still think they'll survive comfortably in the league. I think they've got a manager who knows what to do, and yeah, it's very good. But you look at their transfer business, they've made some good signings. Stuart Findlay is there. Lewis Mayo came in permanently from Rangers. They've made Matty Kennedy's in. There's some good players that have come into that side. They've also got rid of some dead wood. I think players who probably didn't really have much more to do there. Your Alan Powers, for example. I think recruitment's been good for them. And this is a side who might try and push on and try and get into that top half. But I'm going to go for 8th place just now, just because I feel like the sides above them are still a bit better off. But yeah, with Derek McInnes in charge, who knows? It could be a strong season for Kilmarnock. I think that the recruitment's been good. It started getting difficult here to decide a top 7 and who gets into the top half. But 7th place, I have gone St Mirren. And I think I feel harsh, and I feel like they don't deserve to not be in the top half of my predictions, because they were really good last year. Stephen Robinson had a fantastic season. He was a manager of the season candidate, and they played some decent enough football, considering, you know, the perception that I think most people have of Stephen Robinson's football. St Mirren were actually good, and they got into that top half where they want to be, you know, before Tony Fitzpatrick left them as chairman or CEO, whatever role it was he was in. They wanted to be there, they wanted to be challenging, and now they are there. But I just feel like the sides above them, once again, are stronger and maybe have more momentum on their side. St Mirren being 7th place, by all accounts, doesn't mark a bad season. I think if they're in and around that 6th place, battling for that over the course of the season, I know they want to try and challenge, do better, get on to maybe 5th place. But if they're in amongst that and not far off, 7th is not a bad season for St Mirren. I think it's just going to be tough to compete with the sides above them. They don't have the same financial power a Hearts or a Hibs do. And that makes it really, really difficult. But Stephen Robinson knows what he's doing defensively, absolutely. I think attacking wise, they still just need that goal scorer, and maybe this season that'll show through. Maybe they will find the goal scorer, but until they have someone up front, you know, they're never going to really find a Shankland or a Nisbet or a Van Veen. I think that's really difficult to come across in this league. But until they have that guy, I feel like it's always going to be hard for them to push on and do better than what they did last season. So I'm going 7th for St Mirren. 6th place, I'm going Motherwell. And it was actually difficult to convince myself they'll get a top half finish this season. Why? Kevin Van Veen. He's gone. And that is a solid player to replace. You could argue he's the main reason for, you know, what they done last season. The goals that he scored carried them to, a strong finish and momentum being on their side. And that's why I think most people, including myself, will have them probably high in their predictions. But he is now gone. They need to replace that. They have made a couple of forward signings. Who knows? Maybe one of them will come in and do it. Maybe they'll start getting the goals that Van Veen had. I think they're trying to maybe overcompensate with the forwards that they've brought in, but they need to be safe. They need to be sure about it, because that is a tough player to replace. But as I mentioned, that word momentum, they had a lot of it last season towards the end. I feel like they convinced a lot of people that they can be up and in that conversation. Stuart Kettlewell done a fantastic job after he took over from Stevie Hamill. I think that Motherwell are in a well-placed position. And apart from Van Veen leaving, they've held on to the majority of that side. I think they've basically held on to everybody who played a major factor under Kettlewell last season. So I think Motherwell are still in a strong position. It is just about replacing those goals from Van Veen. And they've signed forwards. So I think that they'll find them between the players. I don't think any of them will have a season like he did. I don't think they'll get, that close to that top goal scorer award, but between the forwards that they do have, I think they can make up goals, and they've got a strong side, a strong manager as well. So top half, Motherwell are there for me. 5th place, I'm going Hearts. Oh my God, I can hear it already. The Hearts fans are absolutely raging. You've got Hibs above us. Listen, this was a last minute change. Last week, I had Hibs above Hearts. Then after the result in Europe, I had Hearts above Hibs. But now after Hibs' latest signing, last minute I've put Hibs above Hearts again. I'm very curious as to how this is going to work this season for Hearts. This double manager thing that they've got going on. I don't know. There's not many great examples of it working in the past. And I don't know. They've started falling a little bit, Hearts. Robbie Neilson obviously departed. Consistency wasn't quite there. I don't know. I'm just putting them 5th. I just don't know how it's going to work. I don't have confidence in it working. So I'm going to just try and stick by my lack of confidence by putting them in 5th place. Like, we all know that Hearts have a really good squad at their disposal. And it is now about kind of, it's like a miniature sort of rebuild in the post-Neilson era. They've had, Robbie Neilson for the last couple of years. They've had so much success under him. Now he's gone. It's a fresh start this season. It's like a miniature rebuild. Will it see success straight off the bat? I'm not convinced. Might come back to bite me, and the Hearts fans will love that. Which means that in 4th place, I have got Hibs, who need to back this up by starting the season strong. Hibs are just an anomaly of a football team. They really are. They give you all the kind of pointers that they're going to be a strong, tough to deal with side. They're going to do well, and then bang, they throw it away in the most stupid moments, and that's exactly what happened in the European qualifiers, losing to the side that they did. It was Andorra they're from. My God Almighty, it's embarrassing. But listen. The way that I'm looking at it is, Celtic lost their first game of a competitive season under Brendan Rodgers to Lincoln Red Imps. Arguably more embarrassing, arguably worse. But we still went on to win an invincible treble that campaign. And we went on to draw with Manchester City, and we ended up, getting points in the Champions League when we weren't expected to. Look, I'm not saying that Hibs are going to go and win an invincible treble and start taking points off a Man City side if they got to play them. But what I am saying is, these results can be deceiving. They are the first ball kicked of a season, might not be ready. I think they'll get their act together. Venti is a really good signing, and for as inconsistent as they were last year, I actually do think that Lee Johnson will come good for them. I've stuck by that for no reason really, but I have, and I'm sticking by it still. I think 4th would be an incredibly good result for Hibs this season. They want to get back to challenging for 3rd. They probably want to be challenging for 2nd. But for now, 4th, I think, is well placed. Venti was brilliant last season for Roda in the Eredivisie. His record speaks for itself. They've replaced Nisbet well. I'm going 4th. 3rd place, I think the majority of people are going to agree this season, Aberdeen. And I know it's difficult though, because at the start of every year, there's always that one side who you're like, oh, outside the top 2, this team is by far the best. And then they end up disappointing. They end up sacking managers, and the wheels come off, and then it's all about rebuilding. Last year I put Dundee United for 3rd, and they ended up getting relegated. Now, I don't think that will happen to Aberdeen. I think that would take something out of this world to actually happen. Some extraordinary circumstances that would relegate Aberdeen. But Barry Robson, he looks a great coach. The team look really strong. I just think that it's so simple to say Aberdeen at third at this point in time, and I think it's really hard to argue. Barry Robson really impresses me. I'm very happy for him that he got given the job full time, because I think that he deserved it. The permanent job, I think that he was the clear and obvious candidate to give it to after the whole mess that was there at Aberdeen. The way that he came in and changed what was happening, wow, I didn't think it would be as easy for Aberdeen, and yet he done it. So I think they're on for great things. I think Barry Robson's stock in the game will just go even higher as well. I think that Aberdeen will have a strong campaign once more. Who knows how far they can challenge the top two? Maybe still a bit away from that yet, but aye, there you go. Third, Aberdeen. Which brings us on to the top two, the part that you're all here for. Who do I think will win the Scottish Premiership this season? Now, I'm very excited for this coming campaign. I think that both sides showed last year the quality that they have. Look, Rangers, by all accounts, yeah, Celtic pumped them. Much better team. But Rangers still got a very healthy points total in the league last year. There wasn't much in it come the end of the season. It probably, and I don't take this the wrong way, Rangers fans. I think towards the end, Celtic did, make it a little easier for Rangers with the way that we kind of slipped off in the last few games. I think that it should have been, we all know that it probably should have been a bigger points total between the two sides. But, we've seen in that last derby, Rangers 3, Celtic 0, there is competition there, and Rangers this year are obviously now getting a proper go at the rebuild. They've made a lot of signings. This could be a really competitive season right up to the final kick of the ball. Who knows? With that being said, I think that Celtic will win the league again. It's no surprise. A Celtic fan is never going to come onto YouTube and say, oh, I think that Rangers will win the league. The only time I've ever done that was when I thought it was its most obvious. And when Ange first came in, we didn't know much about him, and it was a massive rebuilding job to do against a side that had already won the league in Rangers. Then I said, okay, I think Rangers will win the league this year. But right now, how in God's green earth could I come round and say that a Celtic side that hasn't really changed go on to lose a league title after how good we've been over the last 2 years? It would be stupid of me. So, because I already know there's going to be tons of Rangers fans like, oh, hey, you've got a new manager, Ange is away, and Jota's away, and yada, yada, yada. We've signed this and that. How can you win the league? Because this side is probably the best Celtic side that we've had in my lifetime, in my kind of conscious memory of remembering football. So why would I not be confident of us winning the league again? It would be daft of me to suggest otherwise. Let's talk about Rangers first. It's a big season for them under Michael Beale. Now, let's not pretend that Rangers and Celtic haven't had questionable performances in pre-season so far, but I think it's best to ignore them. As I said, pre-season, friendlies, all the rest of it, they mean jack. They mean nada. What matters is the competitive fixtures. Rangers have a massive season ahead of them. They need to win trophies. Celtic and this is the thing, Rangers fans will come into the comments and they'll say this, that, and the next thing about 56 and yada yada. What I think about Rangers, and I've been very blunt about this on social media, on Twitter and on here, I think that it's time to shut up and let things happen, rather than running your mouths as far. And this isn't all Rangers fans, because I know for a fact, I've seen it on Twitter, that there's Rangers fans who agree with me on this point. I think that the smartest thing to do as a Rangers fan is shut up and let things happen, rather than coming out at the start of every season and saying the same thing, and then to be humiliated again. And it's already happening with Todd Cantwell, who's posted on his stories about 56. Be quiet. Learn from the mistakes in the past and get on with it on the park. I think that Rangers would see far more success if they kept their mouth shut, if the manager, if the players, and a good majority of the fans didn't come out with the stuff they did. Because I think they could focus on what they've got to do rather than focusing on Celtic. And that's been a big problem. Posting about 56, yeah, it's good to be confident and you want to see your players being confident, but it's the same thing that players like Morelos have done for years. It's the same thing that managers have made mistakes for years, and it's came back to bite them. And then when we're lifting trebles at the end of the season, it's just like the same story repeating itself. And I know for a fact that there's Rangers fans who probably just want to see their team get on with it in the park and start winning trophies again. And Rangers need to start doing that soon. A lot of praise has been given to Michael Beale for what he's done to turn it around so far. His record domestically has been pretty good. You can't argue that. It's now time for them to try and go and compete with Celtic, and I think the best way to do that is with getting the business done. rather than running mouths. Because Celtic don't run mouths. The players, the manager, we deal with our stuff in-house, and we win trophies. We win trebles. And that's been a massive difference over the past decade between both sides. Because it seems like the same story is repeating itself time after time. There was, of course, that one standout season, the 10 in a row disaster that was there. Look, Rangers have all the tools they need to challenge Celtic. They've made some good signings, you know. The boy for Feyenoord, whose name has now slipped my mind, just randomly all of a sudden. We know he's a player. He was good for Feyenoord last season. You know, they've made solid signings in this rebuild. Do I think that it's good enough yet to beat Celtic for the title? No, but it's certainly good enough to go and maintain and give a challenge. So it's a huge season for Rangers. It really is. But I think that going into it, there should just be a lot more concentration on what the job is at hand rather than, you know, 56 this, Celtic are rubbish that. Look, let's see the proof in the pudding, and then I think that's maybe warranted. Finally, Celtic. Yeah, I've got us to win the league again. Of course I do. As I said, we've improved. You know, we've lost one big player in Jota, but we've added, 5 or 6 players, and Brendan Rodgers is confirmed there's more to come. We're in a very strong position right now, and last season we were a treble-winning side. We have got the best manager in the country again. We've got a manager who won 7 out of 7 major honours in his time here in Scotland, and you could maybe extend that maybe to, you know, your 8 or 9 out of 9, depending on how you want to look at it. But the 7 out of 7, he's an incredible manager. He's a winner. He knows how to do it. He knows how to deal with the pressure. We're in a very good position right now, and it'd be stupid not to back us. So, like, I, you know, every year it sort of feels like the same thing. It feels like that Brendan Rodgers era all over again. But I'm just hoping we hit the ground running, we get results kind of battled out in the first few weeks. We land ourselves in a good position heading into the first derby, and then post the first derby, and momentum and confidence stays on our side. But we know what a team we've got. We've kept the most important players. You know, we've kept our Hitatis, our Cameron Carter-Vickers, our Kyogos. They're still here, and we're going to add more to that. So we're in an incredibly strong position. People start asking, Ryan, do you think we'll win a treble again? I don't want to go on and talk about it right now, because I think it's about a game at a time, and that's the way I want to look at things. You know, it would be hypocritical of me to sit and say, or Rangers fans should be focusing here and blah, blah, blah. Look, we have the quality to win a treble again, but we'll deal with it a game at a time. And that's exactly the mentality Brendan Rodgers brings in. Losing Ange is nothing. We've got a better manager. I've said that since day one. You know how much I wanted Rodgers back, so bring it on. 3 in a row. Let's do it. So that's it. That's my predictions for this upcoming season. I think it's going to be exciting. And listen, I think that there will be a genuine challenge moving into this campaign, which I look forward to. It makes the product more exciting. That makes it more exciting in the crowd as well. Like, you know, I'll happily take winning a league title by 10, 15 points. I would love that as well. I'm not going to complain, but there's a good thing with a little bit of nerve in there, isn't there? Let's be real. So yeah, let's see how it all unfurls. That's it from me today. We'll be here all week building up to that first game of the season on Saturday. The league flag will be raised at Celtic Park once again as we look for 3 in a row, as we come ever so closer to that big 55. Since that's such a big deal. Like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.